Alright, in this video I'm gonna make this retro arcade logo inside of Inkscape. And I'll be making every single element, so the background and the logo, within Inkscape. With that said, let's begin. Okay, I will begin by making a rectangle. So just make a rectangle like this. I will give that a black fill color, I will remove its stroke, and I will place it right there. Now I will make it a little bit more square like this. I will make a duplicate of this, Ctrl D, place this one around here. Let's turn snapping on. Let's just snap it right there, and then duplicate this one, snap this one right about here. And then what I want to do is click on this one and just give that a different color. Maybe I'll give it this color, and then I can take this one and compress this about that much. Then I click on all of these and select all of them. I'll do a path and object to path. From there I can basically, what I want to do is select this one just to begin with. I press N to get the nodes tool, and I can select both of these nodes, and when I do that I get these two arrows on each node. To activate these, you need to click right here, show transformation handles for selected nodes, and then you want to select this handle, hold shift on the keyboard and move it out. Let me try that again. Move it out while holding shift to get this perspective effect, basically like this. We can try that again. So I'm holding shift, click on the arrow, move it out like this. I want to do the same thing for the black one, so let's select that, these top two nodes. I'll hold shift, click on the arrow, move it out to somewhere there, something like this. And then I will click on this rectangle one more time, duplicate this one more time, snap it right here, and then make it the same width as this other object. And then let's just make it a little bit compressed like this. From there I want to make another copy of this rectangle, bring it down, and I will expand it, match its width with the red object, and there you go. That looks pretty nice. And pretty much the shape, the general idea of the actual machine for our logo is done. And let's press B, and I'm just going to click right about here, and let's hold Control on the keyboard, click right there, and then just snap it to these corners to form this shape. I think that right there looks pretty nice. Control D, let's flip that on the horizontal axis, bring it here. It should perfectly snap into those corners, and that right there looks pretty nice. So next what I will do is create offsets for pretty much all of these objects. Maybe not this one, but all the remaining objects we need to create offsets for. So what I want to do for that is just begin with this center object. I will duplicate this, I will give that a different color. Maybe what I will do actually is I will not duplicate it, I'll make another rectangle. I'll place another rectangle right here, and I'll make it the same dimensions as this object. From there I can just do something like this. I will press N to get the nodes tool, and I will give this rounded corners about that much, and then I'll do a path and object to path. I'll press N to get, actually I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to do a path and dynamic offset. I'll press N to get the nodes tool, and I will give this an inset. So let me turn snapping off, and before I do this I want to click on the black object, and let's just give it whatever color, something like this. I'll click on the gray object, and let's just give this something like this, inset like this. That might be too much. Let's just give it a little bit of a thinner inset, something like that. What I will do now is do the same thing for all of these objects. So this one, and this one. So I'll select this one, hold shift click on this one, and I will press Ctrl D and duplicate them, give that a different color. Let's do a path in union, and then come over to path, click on dynamic offset, and then press N to get the nodes tool. I will take this, move it in to, and I'll just press it right there. Like, this is not finalized yet, but for now I'll just do something like this. and I want the background objects to have the same color. So let's just give this one that color, click on this one and give it the same color. Then I want to take this object, let's give it this gray color, so I know how much gap I have in here. So that's basically the point of that. Now I will click on this object, Control D, I'll give it the same gray color, I'll come over to path, click on dynamic offset, press N, and let's just move this in to whatever, and then click on the black object, let's just give it the same, this color. Okay, let's select the black object, give it that color. And what I want to do is just make sure that the gap here is equal to the gap here and here. So what we can do is basically select this one, and I will give this a little bit more inset. Well, it's roughly the same, which is pretty much good enough. And then what I can also do is just do the same thing for this red object. So I will duplicate this and we will give it the same gray color, and then I will give that a path and dynamic offset. So I'll press N, move this one in. Again, we need to give that the same color, and I will select this, press N, and let's just move it in a little bit, but obviously not too much. Let's just select all the gray objects. So I'm holding shift and clicking on all the gray objects, and then I'll do a path and union. So I can move these now like this. I don't want to do that, but that's okay. Select over all of this, hold shift, deselect the gray object, and then do a path and union, and I can give that a black color. And what I want to do now is make it, I want to give this an offset. Now this time I'm not going to apply a dynamic offset. It's because when you apply that to complex objects, it will usually make the corners rounded, which is not what we want. So I will come over to the path effects menu. If you don't have it, come over to path, click on path effects, and then from here you want to look for the offset path effect, which is the third one, and then simply just click right here on the plus icon. Obviously you need to select miter from the drop down, which is by default selected anyways. So let's just decrease this too much. Let's just zoom in. I'm going to give this this seems too much. Let's just give it an offset of 0.55. yeah, 0.55, maybe a little bit more, 0.5, 0.57, 0.58, 9. Yeah, okay, that's good. And that's pretty much it. That is pretty much looking pretty good now. So let's just click on this one, do a path and object to path. And the general shape of the machine is pretty much ready. It's done. What we want to do now is just begin coloring it in. I also want to have an offset for this one right here, but we've already unionized this object. So let's just go ahead and make a rectangle. Let me make it the same. Let me give it a different color, and then turn snapping on. I'm going to snap it to one of these corners and then just increase the width like this, and let's simply do a path and object to path. Let's give this a dynamic offset. So let's go ahead and do that. Press N, bring it in. I'm going to turn snapping off for this. Let's just go ahead and do something like this, right? No, I think that I am going to increase the width maybe a little bit more. Yeah, that looks way better. That looks perfect actually. Let's just do a path and object to path. From there, what we can do is click on the screen, right? And I want to actually break apart all of these gray objects. So with this selected, I'll come over to path, click on break apart. I'll click on this gray screen. I'll give that this bright cyan color, and then I will duplicate it, come over to the fill and stroke menu. On the fill tab, I will give it a blur. So I'll zoom in and I'll give it a blur a little bit less than this, something like this. And then I will duplicate this blurred object, remove the blur, give it a white color, and then give that a linear gradient. I'll press G and I'll take this stop, the white stop, and I'll place it right here. I'll take this other stop, place it like right here. Maybe I'll move it in like this. And then, well, I think this looks pretty nice. I will click on this object. I'll give that the same cyan color, and I will give that a linear gradient. Press G, and I'll take this stop and hold Control, move it right here, and I'll hold Control, move this stop like right here, and I'll take the stop and place it like right here, something like this. And then I'll do the same thing for these ones as well. So I click right here, give it a linear gradient, and I'm going to select the same gradient from the drop down, so this top one right here. From there, I want to just simply take this stop, move it like right here, and then I'll do the same thing right here for this one. So I'll just, from the gradient drop down, select the same gradient, and I will reverse it, and I will take the stop and place it like right here. I think that that's accurate. Yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. From there, we can click on this object and let's give that a linear gradient. Let's give that a gradient with that goes from cyan to a pink color. So those are the two colors that I'm going to use in this document. I'll click on this one. I'll give it the same bright cyan color. Maybe I want to move this like right here. Maybe right here. I'll click on this top, and I'm actually using Inkscape 1.3 for this because Inkscape 1.4 had some problems for me. So anyways, I will select this node right here and I'll click right there, give it that bright pink color. Let's just remove the stroke, even though it doesn't really have. Let me undo that. This is fine. Okay, let's just go back up, and I can now adjust this and place this one like right here. Something like this should do the job. And then we will begin actually adding some buttons to this this piece right here. So we'll do that in a second. Let me just select this object and give it the same linear gradient right here, and that's perfect. From there, let's just begin adding the buttons. So let me click on the circles tool, make a circle like this, and then I will make it black. I'll place it here, and I will duplicate it, place one right here. I'll duplicate this one, place this one like right here, and I'll duplicate this, place like one right about here. And then we want to select over all of them, and we want to compress them to give them a realistic, we want to give this a realistic kind of look. I think that right there actually looks really good. Yep. And then I want to take one of these, duplicate that one, move it here. Maybe I'll move it down, place it like right here, make this one a little bit bigger, or even much bigger, and can maybe move it a little bit to the, I'll place it here. And I think that looks pretty nice. I can maybe move these up a little bit, place this right here, and I think that looks pretty nice. So what I want to do is select over all of them, Control D to duplicate them, move them up to about that much, and then I want to click on this top face and give it a different color. So we'll give it the same pink color. Actually, we're going to give it the cyan color. I'll just do the same thing for all of them. I'll give it the cyan color, and now I can choose to make the 3D part thicker. So I can just move this up a little bit more. And I think I like it. I like this to be, well, that might be too much though. I think that is actually too much. Let's just too little. I think I'll just keep it right there, basically. And I think these need to be a little bit lower. Somewhere there actually looks pretty nice. And let's just go ahead and use the Bezier pen to kind of fill in or bridge this gap, I guess. Let's just go ahead and turn snapping on, and I'll click right here, and I'll click right here. I'll come all the way to the opposite side, snap to those corners, and just I'll give that a black color, and then I will hold shift click on this object to a path and union. Right? What I could also do is just simply copy the same one, but I can just do this again. So let's just go ahead and do that. What I want to do now is add to the realism of this a little bit. I will select all of the cyan colors, the cyan objects. Then I'll actually do a path and union. And I will give that a black color, and I will duplicate this object, and I'll give that a cyan color. And then I'll come over to path, click on dynamic offset. I'll press N to get the nodes tool, and let's just take this, move it in, maybe a little bit more, something like this. And then I want to select the bottom black object, and I'll duplicate that one more time. I'll bring that down like about that much, and I'll lower it. And I'll just bring it down to about that much, and I'll give that like very low opacity. I'll place this right about here, I think, somewhere here. Maybe I'll increase the opacity a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks pretty nice actually. Yeah, I think that looks good. I will click on the cyan object and do a path and object to path, and then I will do a path and break apart. And now I want to click on this object, and actually want to give this one a black color, and click on the outer object, so the ring, and I'm going to do a path and break apart. And then I want to click on this top object, hold Alt, select this bottom object, give that a cyan color, and then I want to give that a linear gradient. I'll press G, take this top, place it here, and I'll take this one, place it like right here. And what I want to do is I will click on this top and just give that, increase the transparency, and then give it a much darker color, like really dark, about that much. From there I just need to make the stick now, so we just go ahead and do that. Let's just make a simple rectangle, increase the opacity all the way up. I'll place it like right here, make it thinner. I'll center this on top of this object, and I want to make sure that this point is like right in the center of it, and maybe I'll make it a little bit shorter. Let's turn snapping off for this. And then I want to do a path and object to path. I'll zoom in here, press N, and I will make this, no, that's too much, something like this. And then let's just go ahead and give this a linear gradient. So I'll do that, and I'll give it a linear gradient going from this pink color. I'll press G and give it, I'll select this circular stop actually, and I'll give it this bright pink color. I'll click on this one, and I will remove the transparency, okay, make it black. No, I will actually keep the transparency and make it black, and I'll take this top and place it right here. From there I'm going to do the same thing for the circle, so let's just make a circle, and this will be the tip or the head of the stick, and then we will simply center both of these on the vertical axis. I will give this a linear, a radial gradient actually. This time I'll give this a radial gradient, and this will be going from cyan color. So let's just give it a cyan color, and let's give it a radial gradient one more time. So I will take this one and I'll click on the end stop, give it a black color, increase the transparency. We can then make it a little bit smoother. And I want to duplicate this object. Let's give it that pink color, and I'll press G and give this one a linear gradient actually, something like this. And this needs to go from, this needs to be going to black, I think. Yes, this needs to go to black. So from this bright pink color to like black. Something like that, which looks really good when you look at it from this, like this angle or from far away. I think that the machine is pretty much done. So what we can do is begin working on the text. Okay, before we move on to the next step, I will select over all of these objects, and I will do, I will control G it, group it together, and I will control D it, duplicate it, and I will place this one like right here, and I want to just select over all of this. Control Shift and G, ungroup that, and then with all of it selected, do a path and union. I just want this shape right here, and I will just place the shape right here, and we'll use this later. So let's press T to get the text tool, and I will just simply type a piece of text. Let's scale this up. Let's change the text or the font to a different font. So the font I'm looking for is called Wheeler right here, and let's just simply go ahead and give it our text. And now I can do a path and object to path. I will then duplicate this object, give it a black color, and let's give that an offset. So I'll come over to the path effects menu, and actually before I even do that, let me delete this object. We'll select this object and then do a path and split path. I will then, with all of it selected, I'll make the horizontal gaps, I'll make them even like this, and then I'll do a path and union. Let's click right here, mirror movements in vertical, press N, take this node right here, move it out, that right there looks pretty nice. Maybe I can move it up just a little bit. Maybe I can move it up a little bit more. Looks good. I like that. Okay, let's do a path and object to path. From there I want to give this an offset, so I'll press Ctrl D and duplicate this. I will give that a black color, and I will give this an offset. Let's just increase the offset. Let's lower that all the way to the bottom. Let's go with an offset of about 0.8. Looks pretty nice. Let's do a path and object to path. I will duplicate this black object, lower this, place it like right here, lower that all the way to the bottom, and then we will just lower it, scale this down to about that much, and then we will select this black object, hold shift, click on that one, and let's give that an extrusion. So come over to extensions, generate from path, extrude. Let's bring it here, turn on live preview. From the drop down you should select follow curves or polygons. They both will produce the same results in this case. Let's click apply and close this, and then click away, click on this object, Control Shift and G, ungroup it, and do a path and union. Then remove the stroke and come over to the fill tab, increase the transparency, give it a black color like this. So now I want to give this a linear gradient. Let me just click on this object and give that a linear gradient. So let's give it a gradient going from something like this actually. I'll take this top and place it right here, and I'll take this top and just place it like right about there. Yes, somewhere like that. I will now select all the text objects and I will press Ctrl G and group them together, and I can hold Ctrl and Shift, scale this down a little bit. I want to scale this down a little bit more, so I'm just going to hold Ctrl and Shift and place it like that. Size right there looks pretty nice actually. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger yeah, maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. So I just move right here, and I will click on the polygons tool, and with 3 corners selected and polygons selected, I will make a perfectly symmetrical triangle like this one, and I will flip that on the vertical axis, and let's just move it all the way up. So place it like right here, and I can center this on that shape. So with them both selected, center them on the vertical axis. Let's give it that gray color. Oh no, actually I'm gonna give it that color right there. And what I want to do is just make a really thin kind of stroke, which will then allow me to give it like a nice glowing effect. So let me just duplicate this object, give that a different color, so whatever, any color, and I want to actually select both of these objects. So I'll select both of them and then do a path, object to path. I will now select the stop object, come over to path, click on dynamic offset, press N to get the nodes tool, and let's just move this in. I think that right over there is pretty nice. And then with this selected, let's just hold Alt on the keyboard, click again to select the bottom triangle, hold Shift, click on this red triangle, and then do a path and difference. And I will give this one a white color. We can raise this to the top for now, and then we can make another duplicate of this one. And then with this duplicate selected, let's give that a cyan color. Let's come over to, maybe I'll actually give this a pink color. So I'll go back and give it the same pink color, and I'll move all the way up. Let me just go ahead and give this a dynamic offset. So I'll do a path and dynamic offset, and I will press N, and I'll zoom in, and let me just lower this one step. Press N, and let's just move this out. Let's just give it an offset like that. From there, I will leave this object as is, and we will make another duplicate of this. I will select this one, and I will give this a little bit of a blur. So something like this. Maybe I can increase that a little bit, but not too, that's too much actually. Let's reduce the blur to about that much and change the blend mode to screen like this. And then I will just select over all of these these triangles, and I will group them together. We can simply just place these all the way to the bottom. And then I want another triangle of the same size, same exact, basically very similar to this one. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's make another triangle like this one. Flip that. I can make it black. Maybe I can make it like, no, I can make it this color. I can lower it all the way to the bottom, and I can just place it right here and scale it up. So I will just scale it up to about that much. Then I want to center this on the black object. Let's center this on the black object. Maybe even center both of these objects. So select both of these triangles, center them on the vertical and horizontal axis, but I actually want to move this down a little bit, and I'll actually place it right here. This is perfect, and this actually needs to be black, so we'll give it a black color. And I think we are pretty much ready. I think basically the full object is pretty much complete. All we need to do is just give it one final offset. To do that, I'm just going to select over all of this, every single object, press Ctrl Shift and G, ungroup everything, and then I'll press Ctrl D to duplicate it, come over to path, click on union, and we will give it any other color. And then I will give that an offset, so come over to the path effects menu, give that an offset. We'll lower that all the way to the bottom. Give that a white color. And right about there, that thickness looks quite nice. Maybe I'll go down to 0.8. Yeah, that looks perfect. Let's go ahead and do a path, object to path. And now I want to take this object right here, snap it right on top of this one. So let's turn snapping on, and I will just take it and bring it here, and I will raise it all the way to the top, zoom in, and I should just be able to snap this right in place like that. From there I want to lower this one step just for it to be below the text, and there you go. That looks pretty nice. Yeah, I feel like maybe this gap could be a little bit smaller, but it's okay. I think it looks okay. And from there we just need to make the background now. So I'm just going to select over all of this, Ctrl G, and now I can even move it out. I can even add a glow to all of this, by the way, so I actually want to do that. I'm just going to ungroup it for a second, zoom in all the way, select the white object, duplicate that, lower that all the way to the bottom, raise it one step, give that this color, this pink color. Let's just go ahead and give that a blur. Okay, we do have a blur, and the blur is not very strong. Actually, it's not very strong. We can change the color to cyan, and now I can reduce the blur actually, because now it might be too much. Yep, now it's too much. I can just keep it like a slight tiny blur like this. From there I want to select over all of this. I will group this, select the background, and I want to make the dimension of the background maybe like 300 by 250. Maybe I'll make this 220 or 225. Yes. And I'll click on the background, and I want to make a nice grid looking background. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to make a small rectangle. I'm going to make a small rectangle like this one, and I will give this a stroke, remove its fill color. We don't need the fill, and let's give that sharp corners like this. From here I'm just going to apply the construct grid path effect, and it will make sense in a second. So I'll just click on the construct grid path effect, and let's just scale this down. And let's just go ahead and well, I'm just going to keep it right here. I'm going to click on this object, and I actually even want to move this away for a second. I'm going to click on this object, press Ctrl D, give that a different color. I'll scale it down a lot, to that much. And next I want to click on this object right here. I will apply another path effect to this. I'll minimize this one. I'll apply another path effect. I'll apply the perspective envelope path effect, and I will press N. I'll take this corner right here, and I'll snap it right there. I'll take this one, I'll snap it right there. I'll take this one, and I'll snap it right there, and I'll do the same thing for this one. You can see the color is black, so we can actually just change the color of this object to this one to just go ahead and be able to see that. From here I can now minimize this, and I can actually just adjust the spacing in the X and the Y, and I can just see what looks good, what doesn't look good. I think that something like this looks pretty nice. And then from there I can now duplicate this object, flip that on the horizontal axis, and I can move this one right here. I can then make another copy of one of these objects. I can bring it right here, and I want to rotate this one. I will just hold shift hold control on the keyboard, rotate this like that. Let me, and I will now come back over to the path effects menu. I will now select this object, so make sure you select it actively and then press N to get the nodes tool, and I will now snap these nodes again to these corners. And the reason we have to do this like this is because the dimension of the rectangle is different in both the width and the height of the rectangle is different, so we need to do it like that. And then one more time, Control D, I can flip this on the vertical axis and I can just move it. Control Z that, I can hold control, move it up on the horizontal axis, the vertical axis. And then I can finally just align the top edges. And I can center this on the vertical axis with the black object. Let's select over all of our objects, and I'll do a path and object to path. And then I can just basically go all the way in to the corners and just make sure that everything is correctly snapped into its place like that. And now I can basically zoom out, and I can delete this rectangle, we don't need that. And I can take this, click on the black object, and I can center these on the vertical as well as the horizontal axis, and I can raise it all the way up to the top. From there I can increase the dimensions, I can raise it, scale it up, place it like right here, and that looks pretty nice. What I can also do is, actually I want to change the glow color. I want to change the glow color. So I want to go back in and change the glow color to, click on the white, and I'll change that glow color to this pink color. And let's just actually give that more blur. I think we need to increase the blur a lot more on this. This is just simply going to add a little bit of contrast with the background, so that's pretty nice. And it will also add a little bit of depth to it. With that said, that is it for this video. If you liked it, you may also like one of my other videos. Thank you for watching.